Imagine you are finally playing that one piece that always gives you goosebumps, and in a way that blows everyone away. That's exactly what we're going to tackle today. We'll look at how to take your technique to the next level, what tricks professionals use to bring emotions into play, and what you can do right away to make your fingers flow like never before. Whether you are a beginner or have been playing for a while, you will learn things that can completely change your piano playing. Are you ready? Then get to the keys, because here we go with tip number 1. Dynamics. Pay attention. Let's do an exercise right away. The right middle finger plays the A once, and it can strike the A very softly so that it is barely heard, and you can strike the A very quickly and loudly. When you play on an acoustic piano, you can have a virtually limitless number of ways and techniques, such as to strike it in between. And when you play on an electric piano or digital piano, you have 127 possibilities. Exactly. And those are to be discovered. And that is the first exercise. Quieter and slower. Get louder. Become quiet again. Get even louder. And to develop a little sensitivity for that, it's wonderful to press the pedal and then play alternately loud and soft, and to go on a little exploration here and discover new nuances and uncover subtleties, because that makes a huge difference. So pay attention. The second exercise is to do the whole thing with a different finger, e.g. with the little finger. Be careful, this can be quite difficult because the little finger is a weak finger. It's about discovering just a little bit, but also preparing the fingers a little for the touch, for the strike. Okay, pay attention. The next exercise is to give it a little melody. Specifically, I play A, B, C, H, A with the middle finger and little finger, and in between always the thumb. So, A, E, H, E, C, E, H, E. Pay attention. This is the melody. And I will play it. A bit faster now, but first without dynamics, and see how it sounds then. So, that's already fine, but somehow a bit too mechanical, not emotional. And now we will bring the emotions into it. In such a phrase, I always start quietly, get louder, and then quieter again. I start quietly, get louder, and then quieter again. YOLO. Yes. So, and this is the next exercise. To try that with a little melody. And the left hand plays the notes A, E, A, which corresponds to the melody. So, both hands always play together, 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 together. It's a bit tricky, the left hand going up and down. Yes, the hands need to function well individually first before you combine them together. However, if that is too complicated for you, you can simply play the A with your little finger on the left. Certainly, if the method proves effective, you are able to perform this piece in this location. Be cautious, as playing without dynamics can lead to a monotonous sound, whereas incorporating dynamics, especially for the left hand, can greatly enhance the musical expression. Let's explore music by playing a two-note chord on F, C, and F. Start by pressing these keys together to create a harmonious sound. After enjoying the resonance, transition back to the starting position to complete the cycle. Dynamics make all the difference in piano playing. The most important thing again, without dynamics. I am of course exaggerating a bit, yes, but it is surprisingly often heard. So dynamics are half the battle. That will be tip number 1. Now comes tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to use additional tones. Ultimately, all songs are based on chords. And if this is a C major chord, then all songs are based either on major or minor chords. There are also diminished chords, but ultimately we have almost only major and minor chords. And here is a C major chord, specifically in root position. It consists of 3 notes, C, E, and G. I can raise the C here. Then I have an inversion. I can raise the E here, then I have another inversion. But it's all these 3 notes, C, E, and G. This is the C major chord in root position, but be careful, there is still no additional tone included. But now let's count from C to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this 9, this D, is an additional tone that I can play with the C major. But be careful, we are not playing it up here, but down here. Yes, one can also say that it is the second tone. It is not called 2 for music theoretical reasons, because the 2 is reserved for something else. So here as an additional tone, it is the C with the added 9th. So, be careful. Now I will double the upper tone. I will play the G down here again. And this is now a C major chord with additional tones. Already the normal C major chord. Now, the professional version. Yes, I have an important thing to add. It sounds much fuller. And that was definitely an element when my music teacher sat me at the piano back in school, and I had played this here before, yes. And then he sat at the piano and played this here. He says, okay, let me play the same thing, yes. And he played this here, yes, and it just sounded fuller. And I thought, wait, what did he do there? Yes, and it was exactly that. He didn't play the C major chord here, but rather like this. And then came the G major chord. And he didn't play it like that, but doubled the G up here again below. Maybe he also included the A. I'm not quite sure right now. The A would be the 9th of the G major chord, above. You can say G major chord. The tone above the root note above the G is the 9th. So, it sounded much fatter. I have to say, fatter doesn't always have to be more beautiful. But definitely. If you sometimes wonder, oh wait, why does it sound so fat with him and not with me? Then it's due to additional tones and the fact that tones are doubled. Okay, that was tip number 2. Use additional tones and double the tones. Additionally, one tip is that you can always use the 9th. This is also an A minor chord. Here too, the 9th is always the index finger in the basic position. So, but be careful. The 7th is worth weight in gold when I count from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When playing minor chords, definitely include the 7th. Look, a minor. Now with the 7th. Now I will bring the G down here. A minor. Now with the 7th. Yes, it's always this friction here that sounds quite off on its own. But overall, it brings a very beautiful sound. Now, I will play C major in this professional version. Just played simply. Yes, it sounds nice too, but the other one is definitely richer, and many professionals play it that way. One more thing on the side. When the hands are positioned like this, you can play the notes individually in any order and still create something very beautiful. Look. Yes, this is just the CAD 9 chord, Now I am going to move on to the chord section. The chord we are focusing on is this one right here, which is indeed the C major chord. It's a fundamental chord that is often used in many musical compositions. So, wonderful. Okay, so that was tip number 2, these added tones. Now comes tip number 3, and those are embellishments. There are 3 well-known embellishments, but I would like to briefly talk about 2 here. One is the trill, but much more importantly, and we will focus on that now, is the appoggiatura. Trills are 2 notes that you play alternately, yes, to fill a small gap. Yes, and an appoggiatura is a note that you play briefly, such as before a main note. Let's say I want to play the E 2001, then I can play an adjacent note, whether it's the D flat below the D, or the F, or even the F sharp, right before it. Look. They all sound a little bit different, but preferably, in essence, you don't hear these my appoggiaturas at all. In fact, you should focus completely on the main note. You achieve this by actually targeting the main note, the E, and be careful. With the index finger, I now only take it very briefly. Actually, I don't play the note at all, but rather move away than strike it. And when striking, be careful. My index finger is a little bit in front of my middle finger. Look, not this way, but the other way. The index finger has an advantage so that it can reach the R before this, but then immediately jumps up when striking the keys. Be careful. Here, this is my index finger. Look, it hits the key earlier, but goes right back up. And this here, my middle finger, strikes the main note. You need to practice a bit like this, but such appoggiaturas should be used very carefully and sparingly, yet they sound simply beautiful. For example, the melody, such as the one previously mentioned, from earlier, before the A. I only used it once at the beginning. Be careful now again. Be careful. Here at the top I play a little melody, and now before the E. So, and those were the 3 tips I wanted to share with you at this point. Tip number 1, the most important, dynamics. Tip number 2, use added tones. And tip number 3, to use the appoggiatura above all. Watch out, I had a live stream on the same topic today, and the connection was poor at the beginning when I shared these tips. But at the very end, I will play the song Happy Birthday Once, connecting all these tips. And you should definitely listen to it. That's why I'm linking the live stream here. By the way, I am online every day at 7 p.m., except on Mondays. Yes, there are live streams here. Look forward to seeing you there. Also, on my website, wordemusica.de, links are below in the video description. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. 21.